Hi, and thank you for joining me for today's process video. And today I'm documenting yet more photos of our trip to New York City in December last year. This is the breakfast that James and Ross enjoyed on our first day. So to start, I wanted to create a mixed media background. So I'm starting with mowed lawn from Tim Holtz Distress Oxides and just using the packaging technique to smush some watered down ink down the right hand side of the page. You can see there I've got 4 photos that I printed using the Selfie app in 2x3. So I did 4 to 1 4x6 sheet, and I've cut those out, and those are going to sit down the right hand side of my page. So that's why I'm focusing the mixed media on the right hand side there. So you can see how the mowed lawn appears much brighter when it's watered down, and that's what I was hoping for, because the pictures of us all in Wasabi, which was almost like a fast food place that Ross and James had their breakfast in, and their sign is that sort of lime green. So just now I'm trimming down 2 of the photos. When you print these on a 4x6, for whatever reason, 2 of the photos print slightly smaller than the other 2, and I wanted to make sure they were all the same size. I was contemplating putting them in a straight line, so I wanted to make sure they looked the same, but in fact they're not in a straight line on the layout, but you'll see as I go through. So now I'm just grabbing some small scraps of card to map the photos onto, first of all white and then black. And you will have seen there, I put the photo the wrong way up, and I do get frustrated with myself, but I hate waste. So I did peel it up and turn it around so that I could get the 2 photos onto one piece of card rather than just the one. So just trimming those edges and then bringing in another scrap to add the other 2. So I think these pieces must be cut from the long strips that I used to map my 4x6 photos, and these are the end pieces that aren't big enough for another 4x6 photo, so it's nice to be using those up. And I just keep all my offcuts in a clear plastic envelope so that I can grab for them when I need smaller pieces. So nearly there with the white now, again using that lovely little guillotine that I've got from Tim Holtz Tonic Studios, and then coming in with the scraps of black. And black card I keep for die cutting and all sorts. I do use a lot of black card for small bits and pieces, so I don't get rid of anything really in terms of black card. You can see there I've die cut some ampersands from that one. So just matting all these just with a small border, and that really makes them pop against the background. I'm not using an awful lot of paper on this layout. It's predominantly the mixed media that I've got on the right hand side, and then some of the ephemera pieces from the collection. And I'm using, I haven't said, have I? I'm using Vicki Boutin's Where To Next for this one. I just like the greens and oranges that are in this collection, and they work nicely with the photos that I'm documenting. So almost there. I don't know why I threw that card to one side. I think I thought I'd already matted the photo. Going mad. So that's all the photos matted now. So I can bring the mixed media back in. And now I'm going to stamp using the coffee ring stamps from Hey Little Magpie. I love this set. So I'm using, first of all, the mowed lawn again, and you'll see the difference between it being watered down and just used as a standard ink. Look at how much more saturated the colour is on that. So adding 2 of the large rings, and then I'm going to switch over to bundled sage and use the middle-sized ring. Now this stamp set, I messed up when I had them made, and the rings did come as one stamp, but they're very, very easy to trim in between and cut apart, so that's what I've done on this set. Or you could just leave them as a set of 3 and use them all together. So one more ring, I think, and then I'll move on to using some of the splatters as well. So just grabbing this one first of all, and again using that bundled sage just for the paler look. That mowed lawn really is quite a bright green, so I didn't want to have too much of that on the background. And then the other splatter, just to add some difference. I think looking at the layout, those ones were actually covered up anyway, but it looks nice now. And then I'm just going in with some water. It's got some residual green left on it, just to add a few more splatters there. So now that's dry, I'm coming in with antique linen and this directions stamp. It's got this lovely diagonal stripe that I wanted to add on just to create a little bit more interest in a different colour. onto the mixed media. It's not very obvious, but you can see it even in the finished layout with all the photos and everything on. So I'm just doing a double layer of that so that it goes right the way across the page, and then just one strip next to it on the left hand side here. So now that stamping's done, I can bring in the photos and decide what to do next. I want to have one photo to the left and then the three coming down the side. And I spotted in the 6x8 paper pack that there were these cards with the word enjoy, and it's the right orange to go with the photos. So I'm going to bring that in and just trim off the right hand side there. And I can use that piece another time. So I really like how that is there. So I'm just going to get the paper stuck down onto the photo. And then I want to bring in some paper behind the three photos. So I've got this lovely yellow. I'm just going to cut a thin strip of that and use more or less 12 inches. I think I trimmed the very end off, so it's about 11.5 inches in the end. And this gorgeous blue. I'm just cutting a slightly bigger piece of that. I'll trim the top off, or the bottom, and I'm going to distress all the edges of both of those two pieces. And they're just like an anchoring piece for me to stick my photos onto, on top of that lovely mixed media. And they just pop out from the top and bottom of the page. So here I am with my Tim Holtz edge distresser, just distressing all those edges. And then I can get it stuck down, as I say, to that mixed media and carry on with the photos. There's one piece. Just making sure that it's straight and then adding the other. And there you can see I just trimmed off about 1/2 inch. I don't tend to measure, I just do things by eye. I think when you've been scrapbooking for a while, you get a feel for what size you want things to be. So all those edges distressed, and then I can layer that down over the blue piece. And you only see the top and bottom of this really because the photos cover most of it. But it is, like I say, it's like a grounding piece, an anchoring piece for those photos to sit on top of. So just getting the order right. And that's how I want it. So I'm just going to use my ATG to just stick these straight down to the page. I'm not using any dimensional pieces today. Put that middle one up a little bit high, so when I put this bottom piece down, you'll see I just move it down a little bit. And there we go. So just having that left hand one overlapping ever so slightly, just overlapping the borders really of that bottom photo, just so that it's all cohesive and joined together. And then I love this word piece, and I find a word that says the food in the orange that I'm using on the layout, so that works really nicely. So I'm just going to overlap that onto the right hand photo at the bottom. And I should probably use the rest of that paper for all the other word phrases on there throughout my journey with this collection. And then this large chipboard arrow, I just wanted to use it, not sure why, I just thought it was a really nice structural piece for the layout. So I pulled this paper clip out and I add that to the top. You'll see, I forget to embellish that, so you'll see in the close-ups right at the end of the video that I have embellished that with another word and a little puffy heart. But I just forgot to do that because I popped it up there and then moved on to other things. So this customer receipt piece is from the Papery pack, and I just folded that over and tucked that underneath that left-hand photo. I thought that worked nicely. And then this camera is from a cut-apart sheet, and I thought that would work really nicely to create a cluster on the left-hand side. So I grabbed that tag, but then decided that an orange tag would work much better there. So just tucking that under, and then I quickly find a papery piece that says food order. So that just creates a really nice cluster there. So just looking through to see what else I can find. I find this word phrase that says time for a snack. So that works perfectly with these photos. Think about adding it down to the side, but then add it across the bottom, and that finishes that stack off there. So just gluing that chipboard arrow down now, and then I can start working on this side piece. Just making sure that everything's tucked in how I want it to be. And I'm really happy with how this is coming together. So next up I'm going to work on the title. So I've pulled out the large solid James alphabet stamps from Hey Little Magpie. These are a stamp that I've designed, and I want to spell out breakfast sushi. So I'm just using the solid letters to start with to spell out breakfast. And I have actually grabbed the outline letters to do sushi, but I changed my mind. Once I put breakfast down, I decided I want both words to be in solid, and then I shall use the outlines afterwards to outline. So I'm using spice marmalade to spell out breakfast, because again that orange works perfectly with the oranges in this collection. And just misstamped there, I think it missed a little bit of one of the letters out, so just restamping that again, and then I shall go through and do it all. I won't make you watch that, but here's the word breakfast, and then I'm going to grab that antique linen, which is the one that I used for that diagonal stripe going down on the mixed media, and I use that to spell out sushi. So just pulling those outline letters to one side so that I can use the solids to spell sushi. So I just tend to do 2 or 3 letters at a time, so it's not too unwieldy. So there's the she part of sushi. I tend to go from back to front just so that I can make sure that the word is sitting where I want it to sit, and I want it to tuck up neatly next to that enjoy card. So that's why I've done it that way. So here's the other half of the word. And it does overlap that tag slightly, but I'm not bothered about that, that's fine. So now I've done the solids, I'm going to come in with the James outline letters and use my black soot to outline each of these letters. And I like the slight offset look that you get from doing this. You can work hard to position them so that they outline the letters exactly, but I do like it looking a little bit less precise. So just going through each letter, I won't make you watch all of that, but I just outline each letter. And obviously when I'm doing the S's, I can do all of the 3 S's in the title and then carry on with the next letter and move on. And you can see I've got a nice stack of letters there to wash out in the sink afterwards. I just rinse them out in cold water, and that's fine. So just doing my journaling now, and there was a perfect gap underneath the title and between the 2 blocks of papers that I've got on the page, so I'm just adding that down here, and it just says, after walking through Times Square, James was starting to get hungry but wasn't quite sure what he wanted to eat until we saw this sushi bar, and that was perfect. So just adding some wax twine now to that tag, just so that it's not empty, and I've just tied it in a bow at the top. I felt that was the best thing to do for this layout, so I'll just add a dot of glue to that just to hold the bow together. And then my roller date stamp at the bottom, and I'm just going to use that antique linen ink again just to stamp that underneath the journaling. Doesn't need to be prominent. This is going in our New York album, and there are a lot of photos from each day, so they'll all be together. So then I found these puffy stickers and decided that I wanted to add some of these. I was desperate to fill in that gap underneath the arrow at the bottom, but none of them quite worked. But I found True Story, and I thought that would look really nice against this camera, and it just fills in that block. It looked a little bit empty before, so it's nice having that on that camera card. So just lining those up again, going from the last letter backwards. I find that easier. And then I found a little puffy red heart, so I thought I'd add that at the bottom of the arrow. And it's at that point I remember that I pulled out this sticker right at the beginning of the layout that says "for the boys," and it's been in my little folder on my desk for months and months and months, and it hasn't really worked. But because this was the breakfast for James and Ross, it worked on this layout. And that's the layout done. So you can see in the close-ups at the top that paperclip that I'd finished. Thank you so much for joining me. I shall see you soon. Bye.